Hello, everyone. Raymond Moore, Kilted Prepper. You're watching Coffee with Ray. How's everybody doing? Hey, Lori, boy, jumped in there right away. Good to see you this morning. A lot of things going on, and I thought that this was a very pertinent topic, which today's topic is preparing for Israel's carnage to spill over to here or spill over to the U.S. And I'm sure that you've been watching the news. I'm sure that you've been watching what's going on and everything. And we're seeing not only Hamas but the Taliban and other terror groups actually working hard to basically push Israel off the face of the earth. And like it or not, we have a lot of Israelis, Jews living here in the United States. And, and the thing is, and this is something too, is that Islam hates the Jews, but Islam hates Christianity just as much as well. And so what's happening over in Israel is most likely going to spill over to here in the United States. And we as Christians need to be ready for this. And I think that we're going to start seeing more, in a sense, terror actions or terrorist actions taking place in the United States, because they're going to start bombing synagogues. They're going to start doing things here. It's naive of us to not think that there are terror cell groups not here in the United States. And that is, in fact, we do have terror groups here. We don't know them. They're sleeper cells and everything. And I think and believe that they are going to be called into action here in the United States. And so that's very troubling. But here in the United States, they're not only going to attack, Jewish targets, but I highly believe that they're also going to attack Christian targets. And the reason is here in the United States, we are a huge supporter of Israel. And so we support the nation of Israel. We help them. They're one of our biggest allies in the Middle East, and I totally foresee this coming here. And what we need to do is that we need to be prepared. We need to be ready. And that's something that I wrote a lot about in my book, Weaponize. And one of the things that I covered in my book was what's going to happen if you're at work. What do you do? How do you defend yourself? How do you take action and things? And the negative is that in a lot of workplaces, you're not allowed to bring your gun and or be carried and concealed. A lot of work areas say that you cannot do that. Now there are some workplaces that do allow it, but that's why I named this book "When a Gun Is Not the Answer." Weaponized, when a gun is not the answer, because in these spaces, guns are not allowed, and you can be fired for bringing a gun onto the premises. So what is it that you do? How can you prepare and things? And I just wanted to share some ideas with you. One, in my book, I give you a whole bunch of weapons that you can utilize in the workplace, and people will see these things and not really realize that they are actually weapons. And then also something that I talk about, and this is something we have the Amazon Prime Deal days going on right now. And what I will do is I will put together some links and put them below after I get done doing this video. But in my book, I'm actually recommending Mylar, not Mylar, GORTEX clothing. And the thing about GORTEX clothing is that it's cut resistant, it's puncture resistant, it could help you in a situation if it takes place. And if it's good enough to protect a motorcycle rider and save his body or their body at that time, then it's pretty, probably pretty good to help you escape, evade, and get out of the situation. But some of the things that you can look into are they make these um, It's not Gore-Tex, doggone it. It's, oh gosh, now my brain is just totally fried. But there's sleeves, cut resistant sleeves that you can get, puncture resistant sleeves that you can get. You can get puncture resistant and cut resistant jackets, shirts, pants, things like that. And so these are things that you may want to consider getting, so that if you are working in the workplace or something, you're able to at least have a kind of a change of clothing or something like that, so that if a situation does take place, at least you're able to possibly help yourself. Now, is this stuff bulletproof and everything? No, it isn't. But what it does do is it does give you a little bit of more protection than, say, just a t-shirt and stuff. But it's very, important that we, I'm trying to find here, um, important that we start thinking about things. Some of the things that I talk about in my book, for example, these are kitchen shears, and they pull apart to clean and everything. But the great thing is you can pull them apart and turn them into knives. Another thing, like I showing here, a stainless steel cup. A stainless steel cup is a great idea. Use it as a bludgeoning weapon. And so those are just a few things that I talk about in this book, and how to protect yourself when you are in the workplace. And so with all this going on, we truly need to have our heads on a swivel, really being situationally aware taking place. And then if you do work near a church, or if you do work near a synagogue or some sort of Jewish or Christian community center or something like that, you need to be on high alert. If you're working out in the public and you're in and around some of these areas, if you're in and around some Christian owned businesses or Jewish owned businesses, you need to be aware. Maybe you're a street worker, maybe you're someone who is in the public's eye like that. When you are in and around these sort of areas and everything, your head definitely has to be on a swivel. Something that you also need to do is constantly look for cover, not concealment. Concealment will hide you, but actually cover. So when you're walking around down the street, you're downtown or something, those big potted plants that a lot of places have, or these pedestrian poles or other things. When you're walking around and everything, be aware of cover and concealment, so that if anything does happen, you can instantly dive behind that cover and be protected. But again, there's a lot of stuff that I cover in my book, and I know that I'm saying like I'm hawking my book. I'm not really trying to, but I do have a lot of information because I lived it. And these are situations that I've lived in and been in, and it's important that we as preppers are ready for these situations and everything. What happens if maybe even a Walmart gets blown up, or your local Piggly Wiggly grocery store or something like that? What is it that you're going to do? How do you get out of the situation? Knowing your exits and everything. For example, I know all my exits at my local Walmart. I know all my exits at my local Kroger's, even the back doors and everything. I know where all these back doors are. I know where all these side doors are, because I've already planned it out. I've already looked these things over, so that if a situation came up, then I know how to get out of there. And that's the biggest thing: survive and escape. And by doing these things now, you're able to, possibly get through and get out of these dangerous situations. But I totally believe that what we are living in is perilous times, and that the world hates Israel. That's a fact. And we know this in scripture. The world hates Christianity. We know this as a fact. It's in scripture. And we see that every day with just everything that's going on around us. But with what's going on in Israel, it's really raising the alert level that we as Christians and preppers and everything need to be ready, and be ready to escape, evade, do all those things, seek cover, and then survive to fight the next day. And so I just wanted to talk briefly about this. I want to highly encourage you, get this book, Weaponized When a Gun Is Not the Answer, because a lot of places where you are, your workplace, there's a lot of stores that don't allow guns in there, even if you're concealed. There's a lot of areas and everything. Schools, you're not allowed to bring weapons on, even when you're concealed and everything like that. If you do, you're hit on a big fine. A lot of these public areas that people congregate, there are laws against guns. And so what are you going to do if something happens and you're in an area where guns are not allowed? And so one, start really looking about this. Put your head on a swivel. Start making plans now. Where are some of the areas that you go? What stores do you go to? Start mapping out escape areas or escape plans or back doors or whatever. If you go to church, how many doors can you get to? What would happen if a terrorist would come in during a Sunday morning congregation? What would you do if a terrorist came into your workplace and things? So right now, with everything that's going on, we are here in the US are basically a target because a lot of these terrorist thinkings, they don't care. They just want to blow crap up. They just want to, cause destruction and confusion and disruption and all this other stuff. And so the more that you have planned now, the better, because then you'll be prepared. What happens is that if you don't prepare, you're going to be a deer in the headlights. And so, for example, if you haven't mapped out, your local Walmart, or you haven't mapped out your local church or your workplace or anything, what happens then is your brain will then act on its own and do what it thinks it needs to do. And so it's going to be the fight, flight, or freeze. And if you have a plan in place already, your brain knows that and will automatically act on it. Because it's amazing when you get thrown into these sort of high stress situations, your thinking just kind of goes out the window. And so your brain starts acting on its own. And this is a fact, folks. I've lived it, I've been it, I've done it. And if you have not trained your brain to actually react and do things in these high stress situations, then odds are you're going to either freeze or you're either going to run. And if you run like a deer in the headlights, then there's a chance that you may be running into the problem versus away from the problem. And that's what happens when you don't have that forethought, that forethinking, because your brain is a computer. And if you haven't put that little program in your brain to access, your brain is going to do what it wants to do versus what you've programmed it to do. So if you are in the Walmart or anything like that and the situation takes place, it's going to be, your odds are you're going to be running out the front door, which is probably usually the worst place to go. And in situations like this, they've shown how people actually run towards the danger. And it's because they are working on instinct versus having a plan in their head and doing what needs to be done. So I really highly recommend that you start really looking at the areas that you constantly frequent. Start learning the doors, start learning the escape areas, start putting plans in place so that if you're at the local coffee bar or something like that, what would happen if something was taking place? What would happen if a bomb exploded? What would happen? Yada, yada, yada. Would you run towards the danger and put yourself even more danger? Or do you have a plan in place that your brain can access and then you can get the heck out of Dodge? And so these are things that you need to start thinking about now, because I truly believe that this terror action that's taking place in Israel will spill over here into the United States sooner or later. It's going to happen. And with all the sleeper cells that we know that that are here, and the terror organizations that are here, then all they need to be done, is activated and said, go out and kill. And so what I want you to do is really start thinking about where you are, be situationally aware when you're on the streets and everything. Start identifying all these areas of cover so that if something does happen, you can duck behind it and everything. And so by putting all these thoughts into your mind already, your brain has a little program then to run on versus your brain acting on itself and, basically living in the chaos and or running towards the danger and stuff. So I highly recommend you get this book. It might even be on sale today because of its Amazon Prime days and stuff, but get my book and really hard read it, because this is a book that I wrote with a lot of that in mind. And so, you know, do these things, think about these things, think about maybe getting some Kevlar, jackets and Kevlar shirts and Kevlar sleeves, Kevlar pants and everything, because the Kevlar is cut resistant, it's puncture resistant, and it might save your life in a dangerous situation. And again, what I'll do is I'll put some links below. And if you have my book already, I have a lot of links in this as well of Kevlar clothing and everything. And again, this is not bulletproof or anything, but it gives you at least one layer of possible protection versus the t-shirt. This has zero protection. But if I'm wearing a Kevlar motorcycle jacket and everything, and some IED goes off or something and shrapnel's all over the place and everything, that could stop the shrapnel because it is cut resistant, it is puncture resistant. Now, again, I'm not saying that this is a hardcore, yes, do this is totally bulletproof and blah, 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 and you'll be safe. No, but what I am saying is that you're taking a step to possibly save your life. And so these are things that we've got to start thinking about. We now live in a terrorist oriented world. We've been living in that, but because of what's happening in Israel and everything right now, our alarm bells, our radar, our antennas need to be up and very, very situationally aware, because if and when it does happen, it'll happen like that, and you'll be caught off guard. But by having all these ideas and escape plans and cover and all these other things put into your favor, you're putting things into your favor. So what is this called in the Hunger Games? May the odds always be in your favor. That's what you're doing, is you're putting more odds into your favor, and that way you'll be able to survive and fight the next day. So a lot of interesting things going on. I've been keeping an eye on what's going on there in Israel. Folks, pray for the state of Israel. Pray for what's going on over there. This is serious situations. Iran is it's showing, and I'm really upset because Iran is a sponsor of terrorism big time, and our current administration did something really stupid and sent something like 14 billion or something to Iran, which is basically paying for the terrorists and everything. And then with the stupid decision of us leaving the Middle East and leaving all our equipment, armor and bullets and everything like that, we just weaponized the terrorists. We gave them even more stuff to fight against Israel and everything. So our current administration has made some very foolish decisions, and it doesn't bode well in Israel's favor. And so, but again, I really feel that these things are going to spill over here, and we need to be situationally aware like there is no other. We are living in a dangerous world right now. Things are going crazy, and the world is going crazy. And so, I highly recommend, again, get my book and read up on what it is that you can do. So, let's see. We got Chantel in the house. Kim, Go West, Joan, hey, and good guys here, and good to see you. And thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Also, if you're not in my Kilter Prepper community on Facebook, jump over there. It's a private group, and we are always sharing great ideas and sharing things. And in fact, what I'll do is also put a lot of links and everything in my group there to help you, better prepare. I'll be putting links to the Kevlar clothing that I recommend and everything. I have some sleeves. I have a motorcycle jacket. I'm pointing back over there because that's where I have my jackets and stuff. But I've got these things because you don't know. And again, it's better to be prepared and ready and thinking and having all these plans in place versus doing nothing. And then you just become one of the sheeple and you become a casualty. And so the goal is not to become a casualty. Don't become a victim. and be able to rise up and fight another day. So, but that's everything that I can think of, folks. Just thank you so much. Let's see. Lords of the World is a stage, and we see are the actors. I think the admin left that stuff on purpose. They absolutely did. So yeah, I totally agree. This administration has screwed the pooch in many ways. Not only screwing us, they're screwing Israel too. So, but my hope is that they just lay waste to the terrorist areas, and that way just get it over and done with. So, but I pray for Israel, pray for the people, pray for everything that's going on. I still believe that there's hostages and everything over there that have been captured and by the terrorists and stuff. And so, it's a serious situation, folks. But again, we need to be very, very situationally aware. So that's my doom and gloom message for today. But we just keep on pushing on and keep pushing forward and doing what we need to do every day as preppers, and live the best life possible. So that's everything, folks. Raymond Moore, Kilted Prepper, Coffee with Ray. We'll see you. Goodbye. God bless, and kilt on.